Hey guys, welcome to the Madroit podcast, where we deliver short podcasts filled with marketing and sales insights that can help you level up your business. So, for those of you who aren't in marketing all day, every day, here's what you can expect. You'll get actionable marketing and business nuggets that take the mystery out of marketing to help you achieve growth that will be sure to help you level up. That said, today we actually have a very special episode that we're bringing to you guys. It is actually our 25th episode of the podcast one. And today I thought maybe we'd take a little trip down memory lane and share some insights as to how it all began.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one. I feel like we've done this podcast 10 times just in our own conversations, and we get asked about it all the time. So just having this as like a way to remember and answer questions people have about how things got started, why we do things the way we do, and the history of it, I think is good. Plus, I can listen back and remember how things started in a few years too.
I was gonna say there might be some close your eyes and cringe moments for you from the years
Oh,
past, but
yeah.
but yeah, I like let us know back in 2015 when this kicked off, everything was all sunshine and rainbows, right?
Oh, yeah. Like a little bit of ignorance is bliss, and that blind optimism is a useful tool starting something like this. And the first year I did as an experiment, right? Like you and I were working together and we were at Acrisure, which is and what we were doing, right? Very small team where you were number two, I was number three to the team, and serving 100 agencies around that time as unique brands at that time of Acrisure, right? So taking what I was learning there and starting something is a 1 year experiment to see, do I like doing this? Do I want to do it freelance? Do I want to moonlight? Do I not want to do this at all outside of corporate, right? Do I want to turn this into its own thing and leave corporate? And that's surprise. That's ultimately what happened after that year. And yeah, it was after that year is like confirmation. This is what I want to build, and it's evolved many times since then as far as like the vision of it, but it was a full green light to start building the agency.
Yeah, I think one of the things that you shared with me very early on was that every company is a marketing company, and I thought that was always a really cool thing. But again, you dive into a little bit of the thought process behind that.
Yeah, the realization that every company is a marketing company back then, and when I was in school I debated not continuing with the marketing degree, but then when I started to think about it, and I've always wanted to build other businesses, at the core of it I was like, every business that I want to start has marketing, is marketing, right? Needs its own marketing.
Yeah,
And then really thinking about it, no, the company is marketing. Like, regardless of the service or product you provide, it's marketing, sales, and how you deliver things, which is again how marketing works. And you delight them, they come back, all that.
yep.
So yeah, every company's marketing, and I don't know, it was great. Got to learn so much so fast, as I know you did too, and that's why we've stayed connected for so long.
Yeah, I think that part is crucial. I think some of the things that I learned being in the corporate world versus some of the things that you've probably learned basically building it yourself, there's some similarities and then there's also some differences. And I think that the things that you learned were similar to what I learned in, okay, how do you help how do you help your team members from how do you give them the tools to succeed? How do you feed the pipeline? How do you ultimately create a brand and create something that others want to be a part of? And how do you manage a team? Those I think are crucial elements. But then ultimately, why are you doing this?
Yeah, although our paths were different, right? It was great, and that's why I think we work so well together, right? Our perspectives are different, growing at a similar rate in our careers, and then coming together, which I'll ask you about here because you have a better memory of it, of how we reconnected and ended up you coming on to join it as a partner of Madroit Marketing. But that realization at some point, it was tough, right? Like it's a lonely road as an entrepreneur starting something, especially solo. And yes, I had team members, but someone to really pull the rope the same direction with the ownership. And having that realization a couple of years ago, right? Like, I need someone who understands marketing, which is actually tougher than you think to find someone like that. Someone who I know takes ownership of what they do in a way to help build something bigger than the individuals of it and willing to do the hard work, right? Like it's not easy to build an agency and to do great work for clients too. So that's how serendipity, right? Like when we reconnected, which we'd stayed in contact, but
Yeah.
stayed friends and all that. But I don't know, what was that like moment when I reached out to you or who reached out to who? I can't remember.
Yeah, I like you said, I remember it. I'll never forget it. It was unique because for me, at that point, I was in an organization and great people. And there was just something that was just really not quite sitting right with me. And it was just an interesting place in life too, where kids were getting older. And it was like, man, the feeling of really want to be a part of something that I really believe in and really want to put 1000% of myself into and really try to grow. And it was always nagging at me a little bit, right? It was funny because I was considering leaving my role and really like taking some time to figure out what I want to do with myself. You called and you just had some questions and no different than like what we had done numerous times throughout the years, right? Just, hey, I want to pick your brain, a couple questions here and this, a couple questions on that. And it was funny because even at my previous role a couple years back, I reached out to you for your services. And so then we stayed in contact. And when you reached out and then we actually talked again the next day, I was like, I wonder if this is something. And at that time, fortunately for me, you were already feeling like it'd be really cool to have somebody on, help continue to push and grow. And yeah, I remember we started talking about the potential of it and then made it happen. And bam, there we were. But the way that it all came together, starting with Acrisure and the solutions that we had to put together to accommodate the needs of what was just a company that was just rocketing off the face of the earth, like just an absolute lightning bolt to come up with the solutions that we had to come up with there and then work with a number of different challenging things that were super beneficial from a growth standpoint for I think both of us. I think really laid the groundwork for us being able to come together and now hopefully build Madroit with the same level of growth and enthusiasm that we had there.
Yeah. That level of growth, I'd love that $1 billion company, but and which
Right.
is our goal. But yeah, no, that's funny. It's jogging my memory. Like that conversation, I was picking your brain about a service that I was like, I know I need some like insights from the inside. And I don't even think we talked about the like my agency and the realization that I had at that point. But then you called the next day. That's right.
Yeah.
And what do you think about this? And I'm like, I remember now because that same night I was talking to Chelsea. I was like, Jordan is one of the few people in the world that I could trust to know marketing, know how to help a client and manage a team of marketers. And I was like, he'd be perfect. And I didn't tell you this. And then you called the next day and basically had the same
Yeah.
thought. And that's how, and a week or two later, boom, partner at Madroit.
Truly, it's a wild thing. And every now and again, something just comes along and it just fits right. And I think talking to you, then ultimately learning more about Madroit and how things are structured here, it really allowed me to feel really good about what we're trying to do and the clients that we work with and the level of care and detail that we try to put into each and every one of those. And I think for me, it just brings me back to the great relationships and experiences that I've had with agencies that I've worked with in the past and thinking, okay, here's what I loved about working with this group of people at this agency. And here's what I didn't love about these things over here. And taking those things, be able to mold them and implement them, and just knowing that the space is here to say no bad ideas.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that for me, I try to incorporate in all of my teams in general. And you have the freedom to express yourself and have those ideas. And ultimately, we're trying to act in the best interest of our clients. Now, sometimes those conversations are not always just telling them what they want to hear, right? It's what needs to be done, has to happen. And I think, again, I think back to my experiences, and that's, again, some of the best relationships that I've had with agencies is telling me, nope, you're crazy. We shouldn't do that. Bad idea. And being able to have that dialogue and say, okay, I appreciate where you're coming from. And then being able to incorporate that here with our team is just so cool and just so beneficial.
It is, and that was also part of it, like, that client best interest in mind is not always the norm, but it is very much a part of how I've always envisioned a company and always operated, and you having that same, value was so helpful, like, us working well together, and it's been beneficial for our clients coming on, like, things we talk about, we get asked this a lot, like, what's unique about your agency? And I think we're different than other agencies in a lot of ways. And hearing from you, like on your perspective, working with some agencies, like, I know we are. And then hearing from clients about how they are treated and pushed to the side, or like just a service pushed down, do this, no listening,
Yeah.
right? It's, I don't know, having those values, like our goal here is to help level people up, people and companies, right? Ideas, whether good or bad, are just a way to learn and grow. And then implementing those, we help level up our clients and our team and the people around us. So that's a huge thing. Ultimately, our goal is to help people capture the opportunities they're missing. Leveling up is a huge part of that.
Oh, 1000%. And I think when people ask me who Madroit is and what we do, and I think one of the things that we always are able to pride ourselves on is being agile, being nimble, making sure that we're always ready to take on the next challenge, but also act as like that advisor in spaces where we know if you're a small marketing team or a large marketing team, there's going to be things that you specialize in and things that you have a really difficult time with. And we're here to help you find those opportunities that you may be missing, capture, fill in those gaps, but then ultimately be there with you. If you need us to be there with you in the foxhole, we're going to be there. And again, that level of service, that level of care, I think is what sets us apart. And I think ultimately it's what you and I expect. So that's some of the things. It can sound like cliche, but at the same time, we try our best to put our clients first, and that's above all else.
Yeah, it really is. And that's thinking long term too, right? Like short wins for people. And that happens a lot in the agency world, like thinking short term. Like we are thinking long term with relationships and how we want to be sustainable together and then for our clients, right?
Always. So there's a little insight into Madroit, who it's gone on 10 years now. When
Crazy.
it's wild. I've been here for a short bit of it, but it's been an amazing ride. Can't wait to do the next 25 episodes of the podcast here and keep that rolling and keep trying to shed some light onto the mysteries of marketing, but then ultimately continuing to grow with our clients and keep them leveling up.
Love it. I think that's a great way to put a cap on this one, Jay. Drop mic.
Yeah, I think for us, it's just the beginning and we'll keep it rolling from here. So
Love it.
super excited to share this with you guys. A little bit of the backstory about Madroit, a little bit of backstory about me and Winston, and ultimately we're here for you guys in whatever capacity you need. Thank you for being here with us. And as always, if you can, please like and subscribe to our podcast, wherever, however you listen to them. If you have any questions or any things that you'd like to talk with Winston or I about, please feel free to get in touch with us on madroitmarketing.com/podcast. Thank you guys, and you have a phenomenal day.